thank you for joining us for our What's New session for Dynamics 365 for Talent this morning. Over the next hour, we're going to spend some time setting the scene. Then we're going to jump straight into core HR and look at what's coming in the product and what's arrived recently. Same for the attract and onboard applications. And then we're going to leave lots of time for Q&A as well. So why don't we start with introductions. My name's Lydia Williams. I'm part of the technical product marketing team for Dynamics 365 for Talent.
I'm Jill Carter. Come on.
I'll
I'm
go
loud, but my name's Jill Carter. I'm one of the product managers on the core HR piece for Talent.
And my name's Laurel Reitman. I'm the general manager for Dynamics 365 for Talent, focused on our core HR side of the product as well.
Perfect. So why don't we jump straight into the deck?
Yep. So first, just to get a feel for the audience, how many people are familiar with Dynamics 365 for Talent? Okay, excellent. And how many customers or customer prospects in the room? A handful. Okay, and then partners? Excellent, that's super helpful. And then just to also gauge a little bit, how many of you also have practices around finance and operations? Okay, excellent, good. Well, I'm really delighted to have you here today. As Lydia mentioned, we're going to go over Dynamics 365 for Talent. Both the core HR as well as Attract and Onboard will be represented today. Now, one of the things we talk about all of the time is the war for talent. So, I mean, how many people in their business today feel fully staffed, got everyone they need in seats? I don't know about you, but me, I'm doing hiring all the time. Whether it's because the business is growing and doing healthy, or great folks on your team have found their next best opportunity. It's consistently a challenge, particularly in the current economic environment where there's always a shortage of talent. But this quote is from 20 years ago. So this is a problem that we've had for over 2 decades and is still facing all of us from a business perspective. And what that means is over 20 years later, we still have the problem of scarcity of talent. Almost half of the organizations that we talk to can't find the skills that they need. So you may have great people in your organization, but you find you're missing a core competency or capability. I know when we started introducing Dynamics for Talent to the market, we had a number of customers who maybe had an F&O practice, but had no one in their business who could talk to HR professionals. And trust me, it's a different conversation when you're talking with an HR business person than perhaps a CIO. The second is, okay, so great, you've got the headcount now, you're doing the hiring, but you're drowning in resumes. I know in a number of the jobs that I've posted recently, you'll get boatloads and boatloads and boatloads of resumes, and you're looking for that needle in the haystack. And so when you're posting all these positions, and certainly this is true at Microsoft, it's how do I sift through all of that so that I can be efficient in my hiring process? Now, partly because of the plethora of resumes, sometimes though you don't get the right talent. And so it's 42 days on average to fill those positions. So again, great, you've convinced your boss, you've got the headcount in the position open, but then it's sitting there forever. And if your seat is empty, you don't have someone who's contributing to the project, everyone else is covering a heavier workload, just not a great place to be from a business perspective. Now, I'm really excited. I just had a couple new hires to my team, but now the challenge comes with onboarding them. And the biggest challenge we hear, and actually we just had an article in HBR from Microsoft's HR Business Analytics team, is the importance of onboarding. Because you spend all this time and money finding these great candidates, they land in your organization, and then they leave because they don't feel part of the culture, they don't feel part of the organization, they don't feel like they're successful. And so it's really critically important, both for time to productivity and for actually retaining that talent to focus on onboarding. But this is 20 years later. This is a battle that is not yet won. Now, Microsoft, when we think about the war for talent and how we can help you with your businesses and with your customers' businesses, it's really about connecting all of those experiences together. So in the hiring process, while HR and recruiting is a critical component of it, the candidates really sit at the heart and center. If you don't have a great candidate experience, if it's just about the recruiter, but without bringing in the hiring manager, you're not going to be able to find, retrain, and attract that key talent. The second key component is your workforce and making sure your workforce is connected. Now, today in the war for talent, it is critically important that you're able to differentiate as a business. When we're talking with our customers and internally at our own company, if your employees don't feel like they're part of an organization where they belong, if they don't feel a set of purpose, if they aren't connected with the vision, they're not going to stick around either. And then again, all that work you did around hiring, got to do it all over again. And I think hopefully as you heard about in the keynote, and we certainly talk about data as a critical component of this as well. As I talk to CIOs and heads of HR across organizations, they may have some HR systems and processes in place, but all of the data is siloed. They've got their payroll systems, maybe a place where they're keeping their employees' data. But imagine the work that you're trying to do. How many folks have some practices around professional services in the crowd? Yep. So how do you keep track of the skills and the availability of your professional services folks? And so making sure all of your data is connected and you're entering it in once and it's consistent, particularly now in the days of compliance and GDPR, it's critically important to have that data connected and protected. So Microsoft, when we think about our value proposition and opportunity for you around HR, it's really about making sure that you have these connected experiences, connected with your candidate, connected with your workforce, and connected with your data, so that you're able to deliver trusted experiences and leverage that intelligence across that data to deliver end-to-end workflows. Now, when we think about talent and when we talk about it internally and with our customers, we're really focused on this full talent life cycle. From starting to think about how do you plan for the people that you need within your organization. Where is my business growing? Where am I seeing challenges in delivering services or increasing sales? And then how do I find that best talent? Where is it located? LinkedIn is a great partner of ours around being able to find those professional talent professionals and connect it into the Dynamics 365 for Talent product. Now hiring, which is a great focus for us with Dynamics 365 for Talent Attract, onboarding, and then through that life cycle with engagement, continuous development and learning for your employees, and then starting back over again once you are letting those employees plan for their next part of their employment journey. Now within Dynamics 365 for Talent, we focus on key capabilities to help throughout this life cycle. First, with Dynamics 365 for Talent Attract, helping you improve both the time to hire as well as the cost to hire, so that you're making sure that you're being as efficient as possible as your resources and getting your business up and running. Not only though are time and cost important, it's really you really need to focus on quality. Making sure that the folks you're bringing into your organization are a great fit, have the skills and competencies that you're looking for, and are going to land and stick. You also need to make sure that those offers are accepted quickly and efficiently, and that's where I think we'll be seeing the Dynamics 365 for Talent offer tool, which helps throughout that part of the process. And then with Onboard, allowing you to accelerate that time to impact so that those employees are successful as quickly as possible once they join the organization. And then reducing your costs. So while it's really critical to make sure that you've got those employees in your organization, ongoing, how do you make your HR professionals successful? How do you empower those employees to be as self-serving as possible? And continuing to drive across that D365 for Talent workflow. So I think now we're going to pass it over to Jill to talk through some of the capabilities we have around employees who are in your organization today.
Thanks, Laurel. Before we jump into product a little bit, I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview of some of the capabilities. We aren't going to cover all of this today. Obviously, we only have an hour together today. But just to give an idea of the capabilities that are in the core HR side of talent, when it comes to organizational management, those jobs and positions, the employee profiles, personnel management tasks, all of the business process types of things, the employee experience, which is a huge part to having a happy employee, a productive employee, is making sure that you're providing that employee experience that they expect, whether it's a frontline employee, a manager, or an executive. All of those employees deserve to have that type of great employee experience. Compensation and benefits, when you're thinking about how effective you are and efficient you are, and making sure that you're meeting the numbers that you're supposed to meet. And you're also, again, from a comp and benefits perspective, it's all about providing the right things for those employees to make sure that they stay with the organization. Leave and absence is another big area from a core HR perspective, knowing who's there, who's not there, having vacation balances on your balance sheet, having that liability, being able to track some of that so that you're making sure that employees are healthy, they're happy, they're taking the time off that they are awarded when they should be awarding it, but also making sure that you're providing, again, it all ties back to that employee experience. And then also we know that for every business process, every business is different. There are going to be pieces where you're going to need to extend. There are going to be other places where you have, for example, maybe you are a nursing facility where you have trainings or uniforms or those kinds of things that you need to be able to extend the solution to fill out that employee experience. So being able to offer some of that extensibility pieces as far as a core HR piece goes as well. And there'll be another separate session this afternoon on extensibility if you want to come and check that out. So with that, we'll flip over into core HR. So I'll be playing a couple of different roles today. One is going to be a manager, and then I'll flip into more of an HR professional or an HR manager role. So we're starting in as Cameron. Cameron is a training manager. He's a lead within Contoso, and he has a couple of direct reports with him. And so we'll be taking a look at how he can manage their leave process and also provide some compensation changes for an employee. For those of you that aren't as familiar with Talent or with core HR, we're on the employee self-service. You can see here from Cameron's perspective, since I am a training manager, or he's a training manager, he has a subset of some of the capabilities here. He doesn't have all of the entire system. He's got employee self-service, some of the learning since he does some training, business processes, and organization administration are the things that he has access to. We're mainly going to focus on the employee self-service area here. So we can see from Cameron's perspective, not only are there career information here, whether it's his time off, any courses that he's registered for, any reviews, compensation information, all of that is available to him right on the My Information tab from an employee experience or employee self-service perspective. From a team perspective, since he does have a couple of direct reports, we can go into the team area and be able to see some of the summary about his team. We can see that he has an open position here, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. We see his 2 direct reports that we'll be working with today, mainly with Grace, and then also some request type of information that he can do right from his manager self-service area. Before we jump into the team, as Cameron, I have vacation planned, and then I also have a minor surgery plan that I'm going to be out of the office for. So what I want to be able to do is, one, understand how much time am I going to have in July from a vacation perspective. Am I going to have enough time to take the 4th of July week off in the US for Independence Day? I have a lake place. I want to go spend the week at the lake. Am I going to have enough time to do that? I also, from the surgery perspective, like I said, it's minor, but I am going to be out about a week, and so I want to be able to let my manager know that this is coming up and be able to submit that time off. So we'll go ahead and go into first, I want to see what my balances are going to be. So when I go into my balances, I can see here are the different leave plans that I am assigned, enrolled in, that I am able to submit time off against. Now, there could be some plans in the organization that need to follow a different process. For example, if it's long-term leave or short-term leave that has to follow a different process, I'm not going to see those within my view. I'm only going to see the ones that I have access to that I can submit time off requests for. So we can see here I've got a sick balance here of 72 hours. I've got 170 of my current balance here of vacation. But let's see what I'm going to have the week of the 4th of July. Actually, the end of the 4th of July. Let's look at the 8th. And I can go ahead and just apply changes here. You can see here now my forecasted balance. I'm going to actually get an extra 10 hours as of the 4th, so I'm going to have plenty of time to take off for vacation. From a sick perspective, I also have plenty of time for that week that I'm going to be out for that surgery. So I'll go ahead and request my time off. For the first one, let's go ahead and do my vacation. I am going to be out that week of the 4th of July. It's going to automatically fill in the hours for me based on the calendar that's assigned to me. I don't have to worry about it. I know that from that calendar perspective, it's filling in those hours for me. In my particular case for this company, I'm using hours. In some cases, you may be using days, and so you would see that in days instead. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this for my manager to review and to approve. So we can see that that time off was submitted. Now, the next piece that we talked about was my time off that I need for my surgery. So we'll go ahead and do another request, and this one is going to be happening out in August. So we'll go ahead and select the sick time. So you notice now that I have selected my sick time, I also have a reason code here. So I'm required to put in a reason code for this particular time off request. In some cases, there could be, specifically for sick is where we see it a lot, is where you have to have provide some kind of reason code. And what that allows to do is, one, it provides more information to your manager. It provides information from an HR perspective to see what types of time off or sick time people are taking. You can see here I've got multiple different types of sick leave, sick time here, whether it's a sick child, I have a doctor's appointment, maybe it's a personal illness, I'm taking a sick day, a sick parent, surgery, you can see here we've got surgery in here, or maybe I just am taking a wellness day. It really just is determined based on the needs of the organization on how they want to do that. So in this case, I'm going to choose surgery, and I am going to be out for a week in August. Again, it's going to automatically fill in the hours for me. And in this example, we'll take a look at it when we're on my manager side or on the HR side. This is going to use a different workflow. It's from an approval perspective. It's not going to go to my manager. Since I've selected a reason code of surgery, it's actually going to go to HR so that they can follow up to see if it was something that, one, did it happen on the job that I need to worry about workers' comp for? Is there anything that from a company perspective, maybe we want to send that person flowers? Maybe we want to make sure that they have whatever it is that they need at home. There could be multiple reasons why HR wants to know when something like this happens. So we'll go ahead and submit that one as well. So you can see here now, here are my time off requests. I've got my vacation one is in review, and my sick one is submitted. It will eventually go into review, and you can see I've got my reason code entered here. You can also see that there was another sick request when I had a sick day back in March, where I actually just called my manager, Lucy, and said, I'm not going to be in today. Can you submit a request for me? And so she did that, and you can see that it was submitted by Lucy. So really giving a lot of that information, not only to the person that is doing the submitting, but also from a manager. Lucy's going to be able to go in and see, and we'll take a look at that in a minute, who submitted the request, when it was done, what the reason was, and everything. So now that I've submitted those requests on my behalf, Grace has also called me and has some time off requests that she wants to be submitted. And then Grace has also been a great performer on my team, so I want to make sure that she is rewarded for that, and I want to request that she gets a promotion. So we'll walk through that piece of it next. So I'll go into my team, and you can see here I have Grace, and I can look at her leave and absence as well. So Grace has called in. She's got balances here. She's got her sick time in here as well. If I want to go ahead and see a little bit more information about Grace's time off, I see the same view for Grace that I saw for myself. So I can go into time off. Here's all of her approved time off. I can go in and look at her balances as well. You can see she has a couple of different plans than I do. Here's her sick plan and the vacation plan, what her accrual rate is going to be, and what she carried forward the last time. Same as with me, I can forecast out her balances. So if she has said, I want to take a week off, am I going to have enough time? Or what's my sick balance? She's calling in, I have a sick child, I need to take a couple of days off, am I going to have enough sick time to do that? As her manager, I can go in and do that for her. And then I can also see any of her time off requests too. So you can see that I may have been out of the office in January, so she contacted Lucy to submit that time off. And then in May, she had me submit the time off for her. So as that process goes through, it's really flexible. Either the employee can do it, the manager can do it, someone in HR can do it. Whatever processes and policies that company has in place or your organization has in place can be accommodated for when it comes from a leave request perspective. So I'm going to go ahead, Grace has called in. She's going to be sick. I'll go ahead and submit her sick time. She's sick today. It's a personal illness. Again, based on that calendar, that amount automatically is put in for me. I'll go ahead and submit that. Now, since I'm submitting this request on behalf of Grace, our organization, if a manager is submitting it, it really doesn't need to go through an approval process. Me submitting it doesn't need to come to me to approve since I'm the one that submitted it. So this will automatically be approved since I am the manager of Grace and submitting on her behalf. I also had mentioned that Grace has been doing a great job for us, and I want to make sure that she gets recognized for that, so I want to give her a promotion. And to do that, I can request a worker reassignment. If you'll remember, I have this open position here. Right now, Grace she's a training and development consultant, and I want to promote her to a senior training and development consultant. And so when I look at my open positions, we can see here's that senior training and development consultant in this job. So I've got my training and development consultant job that is coming across. Now, since I have this particular job already and all of my training consultants are associated, those positions are all associated to that job, what I can do is give her a promotion within that job and just give her a level bump. So she's going to be a senior, I'll go ahead and give her a level bump. That job has multiple different levels on it. So we'll go ahead and walk through this. This needs to be approved by HR, so we'll go ahead and give the date. And we'll go ahead and put her in that new position. There's my senior training and development consultant, so we're in that new position. And I'll go ahead and give a justification here. We'll go ahead and select continue. And what this is going to do again is go through that same a workflow process and approval process. So we can see that it was created. I want to go ahead and submit this so that it will go into HR, to my HR manager for approval. So from Cameron's perspective, what he's been able to do is not only submit time off on behalf of himself and go through and forecast what his balances are, be able to see what Grace's balances are. He's also able to create those leave requests on her behalf, and then also submit that request from a promotion perspective and give that multiple level on that job. So now what I'm going to do is switch roles, and I'm going to go in as an HR manager. So now I'm logged in as Lucy. So this is Cameron's manager. She also happens to be the director of HR. And so the view that Lucy sees is a little bit different than what Cameron saw. So you can see here on the main dashboard, I have access to everything within the system, whereas Cameron had a subset. So things like we were talking about before with organizational management and the employee experience, compensation and benefits, managing and leave and absence, all of that can be done from this particular role. We're going to focus first on what is happening then in my employee self-service. So again, as with Cameron, I have my information here, any of the reviews, any of my time off balances, I can go ahead and see that. I can, again, go see what is happening with my team as well. So if we look in at, for example, at Cameron, we can see his top balances with activity. We could also, if I wanted to see his view from his direct reports, I'm able to do that as well. We've got 2 pending requests here. I can drill down and see his information for his team if I'd like to do that as well. Let's go ahead and go back to this screen. You can see that on my information that I have 3 work items that are assigned to me. So if I go take a look at those, these are going to be some of the approvals. So you can see here are the different leave requests that have been created. So here is the personnel action. So here's that request to transfer. So this was that transfer request for Grace. Here's the time off request for Cameron. So we can take a look at this is going to be the vacation time that he has submitted. I can see that here. I can go in from, let's take a look first at the transfer request. So you can see here it will open up, here's my action that was created. It's showing that it's in review. Here are the comments. If I go down to compensation, and go look at the compensation, we can see the actions here, we can see the level. So I'm able to go in and choose that level and then submit this request to get Grace moved to the next level in her job. I'm also able to go in for Cameron's time off request. and go ahead and approve his request for the 4th of July weekend. So I can go ahead and make that approval. And while that's approving, let's go ahead and jump over into personal management for just a minute to see all of the other requests that have come through from an approval perspective. Look at here and go ahead and look at all of the actions here that are coming through. So here's that transfer is still in review as it's going through that process. I'm able to see that transfer request for Grace. So really from the manager's perspective, I'm also able to see all of those leave requests. I can see some of the balance information. So if I want to look at, for example, what's happening with Cameron, I can actually get to a little bit deeper level than what Cameron was able to see from an approval perspective. So if I want to go in and see what is happening with Cameron here and look at his time off, again, I'm seeing the same view. It's consistent throughout to help everyone understand what it is that they're looking at. So I can look at his sick balance here, and I can actually drill back and see what makes up that sick balance. So we can see here that he was the grant that had happened, any of the accruals that happened. So every year we give 2 weeks off from a sick perspective. If there was a carry forward adjustment, so what I can see here is that last year, and that may be something that is triggered to me to say, is he working when he's sick and he's not supposed to be here? Maybe he should take some time off. And then you can see here is that sick request from back in March that was approved. So really giving that extra amount of information when it comes to understanding where those leave balances are coming from and how that process is working. These are all items that are currently in product, they're in app, you can use them today when it comes to creating those workflows and some of that approval process that goes through. And now I'd like to just switch gears just a little bit and show you some of the things that we're thinking about that are coming to help kind of streamline and give a little bit more control to those processes as well. Again, I've switched over. This is something that hasn't been released yet. It'll be planned for the end of the September-ish. I haven't been in here yet, so it's going to have to refresh me for a little bit. So what we're doing is thinking about how we can streamline some of those processes from an HR perspective, from that HR professional's perspective. And one of the main pieces of information or areas that every person that is using Core HR goes to is that employee profile, that worker record, all of the details when it comes to their hire date, their probationary date, any personal information, their employment history. All of that information is all in that employee profile. And it's a lot of information. And a lot of times what we found is that there are key pieces that are probably being updated more than others. So let's simplify that and bring that forward so that we're able to do those processes faster and more efficiently. Especially when someone is new to a system and is new to using an application, it's really important to provide that experience so that they're able to do what they need to do and move on and do their next task. Focus on more things that aren't as tactical. Tactical is super important, but a lot of times we need to see the bigger picture, especially when it comes to managing some of that data when it comes to an employee. So we'll go ahead and go into personnel management and take a look at how we're rethinking about the worker employee profile. So we'll go ahead and go into our list of our 88 employees here. And what I want to do is, I know that I have a new person starting. Walt is going to be starting the end of the month. I forgot to put in his probationary period, or I need to update his probationary period. In App Today, so what's released today, that takes me 7 or 8 steps to get to it if I don't mess up on one of those steps, if I know exactly where I'm going. So what we've done is simplified that process. First, we can use more of a simplified view of the activities that we're doing. So maybe I just want to change someone's position. I'm on I'm on Abraham, I just want to change his position. Super easy, super quick. Put those actions and those activities right in front of me instead of having to go into his and kind of dig through and find that. The same with some navigation as well. And as we're going through this may change. Just as an FYI, we're still working through some of the designs, but really giving some of that upfront information easier to get to without having to dig through some of that ribbon that exists today. I also want to be able to, as I mentioned, I am looking at someone that's starting in the future. So in this list, I'm showing all of my active workers. I just want to show my pending. And I just want to show employees, not contractors. And I'm not going to worry about the workers employed across multiple entities. So now I've just switched my view in a single view to show all of my people that are starting in the future. So you can see here's Walt. Walt is the person that is going to be starting the end of June. I want to make sure that his probationary period is updated and is appropriate. So I'll go ahead and open his employee record. And we see a little bit different experience here when it comes to some information in the header. We also have simplified some of the worker information that is here from a summary perspective to focus on the things that are most important, the data that you want to see immediately when you come into and are working with an employee record. One of the biggest changes in the work. So if you think about this, as people have multiple employments, you can see this is pending. It lays out almost like a resume. I'm able to see all of that work history all within one single view. So I've got my summary view here. Here's my probation period that I can go in and easily update. And say if he's starting in June, I want his probation period to be 9/24/2019. And I can go ahead and save that. And just like that, I have updated his probationary period. Super simple, easy to get to, easy to find. Everything is laid out in the way that I expect it to do to help streamline those processes when it comes to working with those employee profiles. So this is something that we have coming, that we're currently in the midst of redesigning. This has actually changed since the last time I looked at it a couple of days ago. So as we're working through that, we're working with customers, we're working with our design team to make sure that we're helping those processes and business processes and the people that are working with those employee profiles kind of streamline that process. So now that we've taken a look at, from that employee experience and the leave requests and managing some of the positions, promoting people into those positions, and understanding what changes that we can make to streamline working with that employee data, we need to make sure that we're actually hiring into those right positions and getting the right people into the organization. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Lydia to talk about Attract and Onboard.
Thank you very much.
And I'm going to duck and run because I have another session.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, let's just bring this back. Perfect. Before we do this, just wanted to show some of the key areas that we're going to be able to cover today. So absolutely, as Jill said, we start off with the organization as it stands today, our current state of play, but what if we then want to go ahead and develop as a business and bring more candidates into the patch? I think once your microphone, so that's switched on.
Yeah,
Thank you, perfect. So let's take a look at how we can go through a typical hiring journey. And I'm going to call out some of the new features for anyone in the room who's familiar with the product. But if it's something that you haven't seen before, we should be able to get a pretty good understanding of the hiring journey. So for anyone who's not familiar with Dynamics 365 for Talent, Attract and Onboard, this would be where I would land if I was part of a hiring team. Maybe I'm a recruiter, maybe I'm a hiring manager. The first thing I want to be able to do is come in and understand what is the current state of play. Who are we hiring? What tasks have been allocated to me? Which new applications have we received? And I can do that all from one place. The next thing I want to start to do now is identify what does our job vacancy look like? What is the details that we want to share onto job websites? What kind of candidates do we want to attract? And the first thing I'm actually going to do is go ahead and define the template. And what this is enabling me to do is set best practice across the organization for our hiring processes. Every customer is different departments are different. And what we want to be able to do is say, this is what best practice hiring in this department or this area of the business looks like. And we have lots of great tools in Microsoft that we want to be able to utilize in that hiring process. So it might be that we use Microsoft Forms to come in and do some kind of assessment with the candidate before they come in for an interview. We want to use Office 365 to be able to schedule interviews at times that work for the entire hiring team. We might want to use Power Apps to extend the process. And very simply, I'm coming in, dragging and dropping what my various stages are, capturing some extra information about this. Who is this task for? What does that stage look like? And very quickly, we've been able to set a best practice example that's then used across the organization. So we have the right balance of HR being able to define the hiring process, but then the individual hiring teams to be able to actually go in, manage that process themselves, and be a little bit more autonomous. So I've gone ahead and set those up, and what I now want to be able to do is come in and start to manage my actual jobs. So there's lots of different pieces of information I want to capture. And the first thing I want to do if I'm going ahead and hiring for a position is identify what is the key information we want to share out to our job boards. So what are the skills that we're looking for? What's the job description? Where are we based? And I can come in as part of the hiring team and start to capture this earlier. So one of the challenges I know we faced in Microsoft historically was when we're going through a hiring process, we don't actually bring in those individual members of the hiring team until very late in the process. So I know when I've been, and we can also use LinkedIn Easy Apply for the candidate, and we can also use LinkedIn Easy Apply for the candidates to actually and apply. And we can also use LinkedIn Easy Apply for the candidates to actually and apply. And we can also use LinkedIn Easy Apply for the candidates to actually and apply. And we can also use LinkedIn Easy Apply for the candidates to actually and apply. And we can also use LinkedIn Easy Apply for the candidates to actually and apply. And we can also use LinkedIn Easy Apply for the candidates to actually and apply. And we can also use LinkedIn Easy Apply for the candidates to actually and apply. And we can also use LinkedIn Easy Apply for the candidates to actually and apply. And we can also use LinkedIn Easy Apply for the candidates to actually and apply. And we can also use LinkedIn Easy Apply for the candidates to actually and apply. And we can also use LinkedIn Easy Apply for the candidates to actually and apply. The second one is Broadbean. And if you're not familiar with Broadbean, that's a job board aggregator. So Broadbean has created integrations with hundreds of different job boards. By integrating with Broadbean, we push to Broadbean and it will then post out to multiple jobs simultaneously. And the third one is our own career site as well. So that can be used with our customers' websites to post all the job vacancies onto their own website so that candidates can apply from there. And there we go. So I'm going to go ahead. I've posted out to these various boards. I can update the posts as I want to. But what we actually want to do now before we start looking out to those job boards is looking at which candidates have we already spoken to previously. What pool of talent do we have available with prospective candidates who maybe we haven't been able to place in previous roles? How can we essentially cut down this hiring process? And I'm going to do that using talent pools. So the first thing is I can have one or multiple talent pools. I can capture candidates maybe I've interviewed for previous roles who weren't a match for that role but were high quality. I could group it by location, by skill set. And what I really like here is I can actually now come in and I can start to search through my entire talent pool. So I'll be able to come in and I can filter by skill set. I can filter by the school they've attended, maybe the education they've had, the organization, the experience. And actually one great thing is I can now say, who were my silver medalists from previous roles? So essentially, which candidates went through the hiring process, weren't necessarily our first choice, but were still a really strong candidate and who we would want to consider as sort of like our first choice for future vacancies. So this is allowing me to come in and really quickly filter through all of my talent pools, all of the good quality candidates we have out there in our network, and then start to interact with them. So if we have a look, Cameron as an example here, we can then jump into his profile and understand more about him. And this might include his LinkedIn profile, it might include his resume if he shared that with us previously. Any other jobs that he's applied for, we could see the stages he went to. So this is significantly cutting down my time, because if I can go straight to Cameron, then I can understand whether he's available, whether we think he's a match for this role, and I'm ultimately shortening my time to hire. What we can also now do, which is new in the product, is I can then start to interact with Cameron. If I want to interact with him via email, I can do that from directly within Dynamics 365 for Talent. So we've had the ability to go ahead and share automated emails previously, but now I'm removing the need to have to go out to Outlook if I wanted to send him a specific personalized message. Then as the replies come in, I'll be able to see those, and I can then respond to them as well. So this is just making life a lot easier. And again, coming back to the idea that we want to utilize different Microsoft tools, but we don't want to have to go out to different systems to be able to do that. So if we come back to our jobs now, I'm going to take a look at this job and see who we're interacting with. So this might be the point at which my hiring team start to get involved. They can come in, they can see all the candidates who've applied previously. But there's two great things here. Firstly, it's already looking at the candidates who've applied and using some AI and intelligence to establish who is the greatest match for the role based on their skill set. So it will look through every application, look at the skills they've shared, it will look at the details in their resume, compare it with the skills that we're looking for the specific job, and suggest candidates who've applied. What it will now do is it will do the same prospect. It will look for me and suggest who are the best candidates to start to bring in for interview. So again, all of these processes are how do we find the best candidates as quickly as possible in our hiring journey so that we can get someone filling the role as soon as possible. So what we've seen so far is the experience from the hiring team, but what has our candidates seen so far? What we're seeing here is the Microsoft Jobs career site within Dynamics 365 for Talent. So I can see which positions are available, and then as a candidate I can start to apply for them. So again, just as we saw with our talent pools, I could filter by functions or skill set, and it will actually start to use some intelligence to suggest good roles for the candidate based on their skill set. If I wanted to go ahead and then apply for a role, I can jump into a position, I can take a look at it, and if I click apply, I've got a couple of options. Firstly, I can come in and I can type in my details, share my experience, but the reality is if it takes more than 4 minutes for a candidate to complete a job application, we see significant decline in the number of candidates who actually finish the application. So what we can now do by clicking one button, apply with LinkedIn, it populates the entire profile. So it goes ahead and it takes their work experience, it takes their education, it takes the skills that they've captured on their profile, pulls it all in one go, and brings the time to complete that application down to probably about 30 seconds. So this means we're then seeing more candidates applying for roles, and we then have a stronger application because we can see their full details, and we can also make sure that we're getting a good quantity of high quality candidates as well. Cameron can then come in, he can see his previous applications, and he can understand where he's at with each process. So what's going to happen is every time we progress through the stages in the hiring journey, Cameron's going to get a notification, and all of his updates will be within this portal, which is good for two reasons really. One, it means Cameron's informed, and he only has to go to one place to get an update, to complete a pre-assessment, to say his interview availability, to sign an offer. But it also means from the company perspective, all of our information is in one place. And again, coming back to Microsoft's experience, I know historically most of the interactions were done via email. Well, there's no intelligence there. It's all captured in different email threads, in different inboxes. We can't do anything with the information, and it's certainly not held in one central repository. But if Cameron's completing all his interactions within the portal, then we can actually do something with that information during the process. So if we just come back now, we can start to interact and go through that hiring journey with Cameron. So I can jump in here, I can see all of my candidates, and if I come into his profile, I can then start to interact with him. So that hiring process that we saw previously is essentially these stages here. So we'd chosen a template that had a pre-screening assessment that we wanted the candidate to do, complete using Microsoft Forms. We have the interview availability, and we're just working through step by step, and it's really clear to me as part of the hiring team what steps we need to complete in order to be able to bring Cameron in. I've sent a request for availability. I can now go ahead and I can start to schedule my interview as well. And this is going to use Office 365 to find the best time that my hiring team are available. So I might have one or more members of the hiring team, choose the dates that we want to meet with the candidate, choose if it's a panel, choose if it's one-to-one, choose if maybe we're using Skype because we're meeting with them remotely, choose the amount of time, and it will go ahead and look in real time at the calendar for the team and suggest that. And as I said, that could do that for multiple members of the hiring team simultaneously to make sure we're actually bringing the candidate in at the best time for our entire team. We can go ahead, we can send that out to Cameron, we can send it out to the hiring team. Everyone views it in their Outlook calendars, or we can see it via the portal. And then the next step is to actually come in and capture some feedback. So I meet with Cameron. Do I think he's a good match? How do I feel about interacting with him? Do I want to recommend him for this specific role? And I can come in and capture all this feedback, And then it's up to the organization when I can see the feedback of my peers. Is that something that I can't see until I've captured my own so that we have less bias? Or do we want to be transparent throughout the process and help people understand where we're at? Once we've decided that we have a good candidate, we want to go ahead and make them a formal offer. So what I can do now is within Dynamics 365 for Talent, easily generate the full offer contract for my candidate. So again, as we've seen previously, lots of these processes are templated. That's going to bring the process of generating an offer, the time to create that offer down significantly, and it's also going to mean we have the best practice process that HR have defined. So ultimately, what are the key fields? It's going to pull this information from different areas within Dynamics, and it's generating one or more documents that we want the candidate to review and then sign. So actually, when I generated this, all I had to come in was capture his start date. All of the other fields had been captured previously, and it's pulled them all in directly into the offer. And what then happens is we can go ahead, send it to Cameron. He signs it via the portal, again, either using DocuSign or Adobe Sign or an inbuilt offer acceptance tool as well. So that's just making it much easier to get that acceptance from Cameron as soon as possible. And this is a tool we built in collaboration with Microsoft's own HR IT team, because we had the experience that offer management was taking about 7 days from finding the candidate, wanting to make them an offer, and actually sending the offer out, at which point we were actually losing out to Google and Facebook and the other companies that candidates were often interacting with. So this has really been built based on our own experience of the challenges we were facing in Microsoft previously during the offer management process. He goes ahead, he accepts the offer, and now we get to the crucial onboarding stage. Depending on which country we're based in, it can take between 2 weeks to start a new role up to maybe 3 months as standard. So if we're not keeping that relationship alive with our new hire at that point, again, there's really high dropout rates where candidates accept an offer, go silent, and don't turn up on the first day. So if we've gone through this entire hiring journey, finally found the candidate that we want, and then they don't turn up on their first day, we have to go straight back to, okay, who else is in the pool? Let's start again. So we really want to avoid that, and we do that using Onboard. So what we're seeing here is a template gallery we've created, which includes lots of different documents. Some onboarding templates created by Microsoft Teams to show how we act, what our best practices for onboarding, but also ones that other customers have shared as well. So now customers who are using Onboard can benefit from each other's learnings, and they can choose to publish their own templates to the gallery if they want to, or they can keep just their own specific organization internal template gallery. So I can come in, I can click on one of these, really easily choose it, open it up, and then start to personalize it for my candidate. And I think we have an example of that here. So some kind of welcome message, welcome to the team, Cameron, we're happy to have you on board. And then we're starting to manage activities. And just like the templates we've seen so far, it's really easy, drag and drop, pulling in lots of different pieces of information into this onboarding guide. So the first thing I'm sharing here is a video that I want my new hire to watch before they join on their first day. And very simply, for each task we're seeing a title and a description, the task allocated to someone, and a due date, and then the actual task to complete. Now this could be tasks for Cameron to complete, or it could be tasks for other individuals. And customers approach this in different ways. Some customers use this for practical onboarding, let's make sure his laptop's ordered, let's make sure he's added to payroll. But actually lots of customers use it from a cultural perspective as well. So I want to help you learn more about the team you're joining, meet key contacts, I want to schedule your lunch with your new mentor on your first day, and make sure that you really feel like you're part of the network before you join. So different approaches all can be combined together. And I think what's also crucial is this doesn't just have to be onboarding. This could be offboarding, or it could be I'm moving around the organization into a new role, or we've had a big cultural shift in the organization and we want to make everybody feel welcome and understand. So this tool really extends to all of those purposes. The next thing I can do is I can then start to introduce Cameron to key contacts. And as we said, if networking is really crucial, we want to make it so that when Cameron arrives on his first day, he actually understands who he's interacting with, who he needs to meet with, so that he can start to build out that network. So what does this look like for Cameron? Cameron will get an email inviting him to log into the portal to see the onboarding guide, and he can then start to work his way through the different tasks. When the guide is first sent out, we can set it to automatically send X number of days before his start date. And if he doesn't open them within 2 days, what will now happen is he'll then get an email prompter reminding him to go in to complete the tasks. So making it easier to actually come in and track so that we're completing all those tasks in time. So in this guide, I have lots of things. I have YouTube videos, I have documents to sign, I've got a Power BI dashboard to share some analytics with him. I've got Microsoft Forms if we want him to complete some more information before he joins the team. I've used Power Apps to share so that he could choose his laptop or equipment for his role. I've got meeting invitations. There's lots of different pieces of information in here for Cameron and for other members of the team. And therefore, I want to make sure that he's actually completing them. So those email reminders just make sure we're continuing to follow the process. I think one other thing I want to note here is if we're designing these templates and then we're continuing to grow as an organization and progress, we want, as we update templates, start to update the guides as well. So if I go into a template and I add some new tasks in now, I can set it so that it will automatically push, if we want it to those guides for the candidates, adding new tasks, and essentially continuing to improve the process. So conscious that we probably want a few minutes for time. One thing I didn't show today was the LinkedIn Recruiter integration. But if I just flash up a screen here quickly, essentially if we're using LinkedIn Recruiter during the hiring process to find candidates, the LinkedIn Recruiter System Connect integration means that if I'm a recruiter within LinkedIn, I can see here which jobs has the candidate applied for, what was the interview feedback, what were the notes that were captured, so I don't have to go into Talent to see that history. And similarly within Talent, if I'm part of the hiring team, I can see their full LinkedIn profile there as well, and any notes that have been captured by the recruiter. So that's for anyone who's using LinkedIn Recruiter, that just makes it a lot easier to share the information back and forward between the hiring team and the recruiter, essentially. So I think in this kind of whistle-stop, probably 20-minute demonstration, we've seen starting from scratch, I want to hire someone, I want to figure out the skill set, what our hiring process looks like, pull them into a hiring loop, explore our existing talent pool so we don't always have to go out to job boards and start from scratch every time, how we can then start to receive candidate applications and use some intelligence to find the strongest candidates, take them through our entire hiring process, keep connected in the portal, make them an offer as quickly as possible so that we can actually secure that talent, and then effectively bring them into the team even before day one so that they're set up for success when they join our organization. Okay.
Yep. So I think as Lydia and Jill showed you kind of an update on a number of our new capabilities that we have in place. We got to see a sneak preview of the worker form. But I think we wanted to leave some time for questions. I know I saw one in the audience, so maybe start there.
Yeah, you mentioned Forms, but currently it's included in Dynamics Licenses Forms Pro. So what's on? I mean, Forms.
It's Forms Pro.
Pro package.
Yeah, yeah.
So is it included, and what is minimum requirements from the perspective of the talent licenses you need to buy, for example, in order to get Forms Pro? Because there is a huge amount of different choices. I mean, a lot of new features.
I'm not.
Do we know from a licensing perspective what we have to, whether we...
Yeah, it's on the licensing guide, so we just need to take a look at the new licensing guide.
Yeah.
It's in the
I
licensing
have
guide.
Dynamics licensing guide, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure because it is not clear here and it is not clear from your
Yeah, so I think that's one. Why don't we take that one offline? Because I will admit I'm not a licensing expert, but if you want to come and find me after the talk, or I think our emails were up.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we have any outstanding questions at the end, we can take them over email as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, the next question. So we have a subject matter expert in hiring process. So
Yes.
external, what license does he need to be part of this process?
So if
Subject matter expert, someone who is helping us in order to in a tracking process.
So as long as they're sort of, are they running the hiring process as like a recruiter, or are they?
Manager is running it, but subject matter expert is just helping in some interview questions.
So I think they would need the team member
They
license,
also have to be in their AD.
and they need to be in your AAD as well. They could be a guest, but they need to be within your AAD, Azure Active Directory instance.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of options there. Firstly, for looking through applications, it will review the document they've uploaded. What we can do is we can use some of the extensibility functionality if we want to pull content out. We've got an example where candidates who attend what are they called, career fairs with a paper resume, using a Power App, we scan it and then it pulls all the content off it and it can then populate. So we can achieve that using the extensibility essentially.
Yeah, there's nothing in product today that will take the content of a PDF or resume and translate that into the form fields, but that's a great suggestion for I know we've got some of the product managers up front.
Anything that you can show in terms of learning management and performance reviews and all that?
So I would say, let me talk about learning management and performance management. So within learning management, that's not an active area of investment for us at this point in time. There are some capabilities in Core HR as far as keeping track of certifications, trainings that have taken place. But if you're talking about like actually delivering e-learning content, that's not something that's part of the product portfolio today. Performance management, there are tools, again, within the Core HR product that will allow you to do like performance journals, track goals, manage those between employees and their managers, as well as visibility into HR that is in the Core HR product today as well. I think we've got in the expo session or area, there's a Dynamics 365 for Talent pod, and those guys could walk you through kind of more in depth because we've only got 3 minutes, so not enough time here. But they can show you what capabilities we have as far as highlighting learning content and capabilities there, as well as the performance journaling capabilities we have in place. Question all the way in the back.
I was a little bit late, so I apologize if you covered it, but is there anything more on benefits management, especially from the employee perspective or benefit election?
Not today. So today, primarily what we have in product and the focus and what we're talking about is all related to still on the manager side. But certainly that's an area we get a lot of feedback from. Are primarily your customers or partners in US or global?
Yeah, customer in the US primarily.
Yep. So that's certainly an area we hear a lot of feedback around, but not anything in the works today.
Why not? You hear a lot of feedback around it. Why not put it in the work?
Or maybe let me phrase that wrong. It's nothing in our roadmap that we're talking about or showing today. So certainly, like when I talk about our roadmap, there's certain things that we've got just released. So leave and absence that we talked about, parts that we've got under active development, like the worker form. But things beyond that, it's certainly an area of interest to us, but nothing that we've got to announce or talk about today. So that's a good clarification. Appreciate that.
Quick question. We work with a lot of people in the hospitality industry that do not have technology experience, can't go to a website to apply for a job, don't have an email address.
Yeah.
So when we bring in those candidates, I get the question of what am I going to do if I don't have an email address for them? And I said, I understand the communication. They're not going to expect automated emails. You're going to do that via phone. But for us to get them in the system, I said, well, you kind of have to make up an email address. So some of the flexibility there, making that not required of having that functionality. Do you have any insight as to some workarounds or anything on the roadmap to help at least accommodate some of that custom hiring process?
They were working on it using the phone number.
Yep,
instead.
on it. Yeah.
We're working on using the phone number instead of an email
Yeah.
address for that very scenario.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep. And just so the room can hear, the question was around people who don't have email address, and for that, the team's working on phone number as an alternative identification mechanism.
A common requirement for managers to see a leave calendar of all their staff. So it's very difficult to approve leave if you've got a big team and you've got no idea who's going to leave and when.
So,
Something that's coming or?
so we're certainly looking at ways to get a better view of leave from a calendar perspective. So it's not, again, it's something that I would say is on the longer term roadmap that we're considering, but not something that we've got coming yet planned for the October release. But definitely hear the feedback. Is the ask specifically around kind of a calendar view of the entire, yeah.
Good.
Well, that actually answered one of my questions.
Yeah.
There are a lot of places, especially manufacturing, that only everybody has a phone, but not email. The second one was I get a lot of incidences of the no-shows, the ghosting.
Yeah.
It's great to have that search capability for your talent pool. But is there a way for the candidate to indicate they're no longer available so they're not wasting
Where?
Not currently, but we are working on something along those lines where you'll be able to add the candidates to your candidate portal, withdraw an application, or even suggest that there is no more interest in the moment.
Good. I think we're at time.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate everyone coming today.